Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. And my voice is a little bit wrecked this morning, but hey, happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having the best Wednesday possible in their goddamn lives. And let's get into some magic internet money right over here and get into the daily scene. Let's plot out some of the big supports and resistances, which, as you will notice, nothing has changed. Quite literally the same thing going on for about the last few months, and really in the greater picture the last 10 or so months now, 10 and a half months. But essentially we still got this big support right here, the 6150, which is the one that I say, hey, as long as we're above that guy, I really don't want to be getting like overall stupid short. By the same token, as long as we're below this guy right here, don't want to be getting stupid long, and really don't want to be getting long. I mean, really more importantly, until until you actually like make a higher high over this guy right here at about 7,400. But we do have this bigger descending triangle to deal with. And then really above like 10,000 is where I'd start to say, hey, I think it's time to go full back into the market. Anyways, with that said, you can see that, yes, yesterday we did close our first major dildo above this yellow 21 exponential on all exchanges. Yesterday we did have a couple closing above, but today is the first day that we have all four majors closing above. So that is an interesting sign. However, we have still not taken out this downtrend resistance line right over here, right around 65, or sorry, it's actually like 64, 65 on GDAX right here. It does change depending upon your exchange, but typically it's somewhere around 6,500-ish area, and it is declining over time. Looks like it just got ordered on a fill. Or I just got filled in an order. Jesus Christ, man, I'm dyslexic this morning. But again, typically speaking, whenever you do kind of take out the yellow 21 exponential after being away from it for a little bit of time on the daily dildo time frame, I will actually take a long on that second retest of it, which is happening right now. I actually did buy a little bit. I did buy a little bit on that one. And actually, I think I'm gonna trade over here on Butyrol. Let me just make sure on that. Let's see. Oh, and hello and welcome to Maddie. Pleasure to meet you, my friend. Pleasure to have you in here, and it's gonna be good to actually see you, from the other side. Anyways, just going on my other screen over here because apparently I have entered in an order and I didn't even realize it. But you know what? That's fine. Alrighty, just making sure that everything's all good in Safu. Okay, so back now over here to good old GDAX, and let's talk about the lower time frames, because again, this is more focused on the lower time frames, and it looks to me like we are trying to consolidate in this area right at a major resistance. Now, not only is this a resistance from that downtrend line right there, but it's also coinciding with our former broadening wedge-ish support, which is now resistance as well. Now, typically speaking, when things do kind of converge like this, that to me is actually a big sell signal. So we have two very big competing things. We have the daily 21, which would make me want to take a long, and we have this, the convergence of these two resistances right here, which would make me want to take a short. So which one do I do? Well, that's the big question. And right here, right now, I think either trade is equally viable, to be quite honest. The reason why I say that is because I can take a short right here or a long right here, preferably a short actually, and I'll know very soon if I'm wrong on this trade. And I risk only about $10 from where we currently stand to where I would be kind of managing risk upon, right around 6,500-ish area, or sorry, about 65.80 as it is declining once again. So I probably will take that trade, and then I'll just cover by buying, the futures against it if it goes against me. It looks like it does want to take a leg up though, but that's trading, and trading a lot of the time, I will do things that my heart tells me not to do, but the charts say, hey, you have a good setup over here, and that's just trading. 4-hour stochastics are losing momentum. They look like they kind of want to cross down over here. They're drooping down. 4-hour RSI having a little bit of bearish divergence at the top right here. Is that enough to force this guy back down? Well, yeah, I mean, typically speaking, when you are kind of setting up like this, yeah, that would suggest a little bit of downside. We did already play out the 2-hour bearish divergence that we spoke about yesterday, with this drop down to about 63.75. Didn't quite get to the 63.50-ish area that I was talking about, but again, it's a range, right? It's not like I can't say like exactly where it's gonna fucking go. Just know that it's probably gonna droop down a little bit over there. Anyways, with that said, bearish divergence, very, very much present on your 2-hour dildo chart right over here. But we might get another stab up at this 64, 75-ish area. Again, I need to see a like a 2-hour or a 4-hour dildo close significantly above this on good volume for me to be a believer that hey, it's time to it's time to no longer be short and put on that long. But hey, if we do take out that area, there really ain't much stopping you from about this guy right over here, our former big resistance right around 66.50. I'm sure a lot of people remember that, the daily grind around that area. That's not a strong resistance, though. The next big strong resistance would be right around here, right around about 67.50. So there's plenty of edge on that trade to be had, is my point. Even if you are a little bit late to it. So that's why I'm happy to kind of take a trade like that. Again, I haven't entered in quite yet. But I think I probably will take that trade. Okay, so what else? What else do we have to look at? Let's go over the other time frames. 10-hour over here. 10-hour stochastics are losing momentum as well. They look like they kind of want to cross down. That's been kind of a signal recently as well. So I just need to go to my other screen over here. Just change my order. Hey, sorry. Let's see. I'm actually in a Buterol short right now. Should I show this one on screen? I don't know. Yeah, sure. Why not, man? Why not? Alrighty, there we go. I'm just getting out of it right now. 75 cent is my bid. Maybe I move that down. Let's go check on Mr. Buterol over here. How's he doing? Yeah, I could probably move that down to about 70ish. Looks like I'm eke another 5 cents out of it. Come on, baby. You can do it. Uh-oh, maybe I should have kept it there. They are stacking up the books right there. Typically not the thing that I want to pay any attention to in good old trading, but it does seem like there's some buying going on at this level. So I will be patient alongside this one. However, I do think that probably will get it. Anyways, okay, back onto the good old cones over here. Let's go over the higher time frame stochastics. 8-hour stochastics losing momentum as well. 6-hour stochastics right here just cross the upside, so that would be good. 12-hour, we're just kind of jumping around, still gaining momentum to the upside, so that would be a counterpoint. However, you will be heading into the neutral zone, which to me typically signifies that you will typically get like a little bit of counter move around that area just by the nature of it. And daily still gaining momentum to the upside as well, so that would be a little bit more powerful in my opinion. Overall, the big levels, while they've not been destroyed, it does look like our higher time frame stochastics do want a little bit of up over here. 2-day stochastics pointing down, so fair enough. That would be a counterpoint to what I just said. But did we just get a new one? We close okay, yeah. So 3 days not closing anytime soon. 2-day will be closing later tonight. Yeah. So 2-day we will get a new tick later tonight. That's going to be very, 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 very important to me. How do we react around this area? Do we cross back up? Do we lose momentum back up? Okay, looks like I'm getting filled over here. Good. A little bit of patience goes a long way in this game now, doesn't it? And if we were to kind of lose momentum and tick back up, that would be my next big signal. If we actually maintain this posturing down, that would be what I would that would make me want to actually start a short. So again, a lot of things to be aware of over here. Looks like I'm out of my position. Nice. Okay, great. Awesome, good, and back now over here. I do want to remind everyone that the higher time frame is still very, 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 very bearish. 2-day dildo death cross right over here, the green 55 crossing beneath the purple 200 exponential right there. Not good at all. We have the 3-day just living well below this 21 exponential. A couple days ago to start the week on Monday, the massive green dildo party taking you above it, but still closing well beneath it. This is going to be pretty damn important in the next couple of days, in my opinion. 12-hour right here. 12-hour right here hasn't really, we have found support along this 21 exponential, but if we did come back down and test it, I would not interpret that as good. I would probably, I would, while I do think it would probably bounce off of it for a little bit, I would probably actually want to sell that as well. So that'd be a big signal to myself as well. What else do we have to look at? In the weekly still has that yellow 21 exponential crossing the downside of the green 55 right here, which is very much not good, because look at this wick that we had from Monday. That actually came back up and basically formally tested it. So again, if you're in the technical analysis program, this would be a very good example of a retest of the cross. And again, remember, we only have one other example of this cross even happening in the almost 10-year history of Bitcoin right over here in 2014. And look at that, you popped back up, tested it one last time, and then boom, down. Just shove those red dildos down your bull Jesus's throat. Sorry, you just shuffle through all the different ones. Anyways, you know, same thing with all that. While there are some significant downside targets, again, I don't really want to be full on gung ho talking about them until 6150 is officially broken. If 6150 is officially broken, then yes, I start looking towards, you know, low 5000s, really low, really medium to low 4000s as well. That would be kind of where I'd be aiming my cannons. But again, we have a very unique situation on Monday, on the trading day on Monday, with this major fat green dildo right here impaling all sorts of bearish dildos. Sorry, all sorts of bear Jesuses on top of it. So that. The reason why I'm not like blindly taking a long off of this just yet is because this dildo right here was a very unique situation, as we just spoke about, with Tether essentially crumbling in the early morning hours of Monday, trading all the way down to about 85 cents. Remember that Tether needs to maintain its peg around, you know, 4 decimal places of $1. Like, you really don't want it any further away from that. But what it looks like to me over here is that we're actually trending down. Now, again, can you make charts on Tether? Like, can you actually, you know, look at different moving averages and whatnot and do it that way? I'm not too sure about that, to be quite honest, just because, you know, it's a little bit more of like of a fundamental driven type thing, actually, you know, because like they actually have to, or you'd suppose they actually have to like have the assets to back, you know, what they say that they have. But if I were just looking at this as a chart, I would say, oh wow, this is about to initiate the dump of the century. But again, I don't believe that you can actually, you know, chart an asset like this, to be quite honest. I do want to point out, though, and what we do have information going on over here, and I'm going to put on the good old compare symbol for Finex over here, is that anytime we do have Bitcoin, or sorry, anytime that we do have Tether falling down, we have Bitcoin essentially rallying up. So I'm going to put it on like the 15-minute chart over here and just kind of zoom it out. Now, the what's overlaid is Finex's Bitcoin chart over here, and you can see when Tether got all the way down to about 85 cents, Finex was getting all the way up to quite literally, you know, about 7,800, something like that, right over here. And you can see every move is just about counter. When Tether rises, you know, Finex falls, which would make sense, right? Because Tether is supposed to be pegged to $1, right? And so, you know, as Tether goes up in value, the value of Bitcoin would come back to kind of parity and match the other US dollar exchanges, which are currently much lower, about $200 lower on average. And we're just kind of, you know, and just every little move seems to have a counter move. So if Tether were to fall down here, would Bitcoin have another big rally? Well, that is what happened last time. So you really do have to be asking yourself that. Again, we do have a very unique situation also with Finex's Bitcoin wallet over here. Remember, this blue line over here represents the actual Bitcoins that they had in their wallet. About 230,000 Bitcoins at the top when they were number one. And now compare that with 134,000 Bitcoins that they have in. So that would suggest that, hey, Finex has lost quite literally about more than 40% of their Bitcoins out of their wallet in the last few weeks. Why has there been a mass exodus going on out of this wallet recently? That is very, 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 very strange for an exchange that claims to have, you know, for an exchange that actually has direct ties with the company Tether. Something very strange is going on. You know, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. This is a great saying by something. I forgot his name. I apologize. If you know his name, please put it in the box below. I want to give credit to him. But when it comes down to it, you know, I look at this and you know, again, we don't know the actual story. We don't know everyone who's like taking money out of this exchange right here, but it really does make you think, like, why are people taking their money out of this exchange? Like, not just a few people, but 40% of your Bitcoins, more than 40% now. You know, again, all the way from like quite literally all the way from about 230-ish thousand Bitcoins to 134,000 Bitcoins. So almost 100,000 Bitcoins in the span of about 2 to 3 weeks. That's a very short amount of time. So when it comes down to it, that is very concerning. I do want to point out this red line over here represents that wallet value in dollar. This actually seems to have been trading very damn well with Bitcoin's chart, even a little bit more of a predictable way, even though it's a terrible word to use. But you actually did put in your low over here, and then you kind of just been crawling it long ever since. You put in a double top over here, which was not represented in the charts. But if you were looking at this and charting this, it actually might have been a little bit more profitable, to be quite honest. And you can see over here, Bitcoin holding that 6,000 6,000 line, or what would have been the 6,000 line, correlating with the bottom over here, but it had broken it, about a couple of weeks ago. So perhaps we're actually seeing this wallet, signal things in advance. Maybe it is a leading indicator, as we do see that price action kind of unfold a little bit later. So again, going back to the charts over here, just something to be aware of over here. So I'm going to take off this overlay, and we're going to go over to the good old GBTC, another leading indicator for Bitcoin, which did actually close up yesterday. Did close up, although it did close as a doji-ish type dildo, perhaps even a shooting star if you really want to split hairs. I don't care what you call it, man. It's a reversal type dildo. Although it was on very low volume, very, 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 very low volume, it did close above this resistance right here. So I do like that. But we have conflicting things. We have a reversal dildo closing above a resistance. So one bearish thing, one bullish thing. We are still below the 21 exponential on the daily dildo time frame. Not good. The volume on it is not necessarily, too perturbing, but you are likely having a little bit of bearish divergence in this area as well. I do want to check out the 3 hour. Yeah, 3 hour has a nice rejection right here. Timing you a beautiful buy right over here, by the way, on the proprietary stochastics. My God, just beautiful, just fucking beautiful. Anyways, this one can still go either way, in my opinion. You just kind of fill the gap over here. So a lot of the times when you do fill the gap, you will come back down. So maybe that is kind of the fate of this GBTC asset. But again, this one's a little bit more. I don't, like I said, there's a bullish thing, there's a bearish thing. You closed above resistance, but you closed a reversal dildo above resistance, just kind of filling a gap. So to me, that would actually be a little bit more bearish if I really had to like split hairs on it. But again, it's, I want to represent that there's two sides to be looking at that from. Let's go check out, let's go see what the futures are doing on CMEs over here. CME is still closing well below the 21 exponential moving average. So they actually disagree with all the four major spot exchanges, like the SAFU exchanges, so to say. Which is not a good sign, at least in my opinion, not a good sign, because I would imagine that most of the professionals, as this exchange is starting to do more and more volume nowadays, will be respecting these areas, and the fact that we are still using it as resistance is not necessarily the best sign. Doesn't mean that you can't close the next one above it, but as long as you're below it, I do actually lean a little bit more to the downside. So again, I have my kind of areas for where I know, hey, am I going to be wrong or right? Again, because we have these two resistances converging here, I think that you probably will play out a little bit of downside. I'm not saying on a full on reversal, but you don't really have full on reversal talk to be really had until you start taking out this guy right here, right around about 62.50. But really, again, 61.50 is like the big bad line to be aware of. As long as you're above there, really don't want to be, getting stupid short. Like I said, you might have like a scalp short taking you all the way back down there. Definitely don't hate that trade. But again, the area where I know that I'm wrong is right around here, right around 64.80ish area. If you close a dildo below there, or sorry, close a dildo above there on heavy volume, then I'd want to be getting long and strong, as they say, because really don't see much stopping you from about $300-$400 higher. Sorry, $200-$300 higher. At which point we'll probably find a next big resistance. But at that point, it really does start to make the chart look a little bit different. Although the bigger descending triangle would still be in play. But yeah, that's pretty much all that there is for this one. Let's cover Mr. Buteau really quickly. I might even take a trade if I like what I see, but we got 216 over here on Finex. And again, actually, Mr. Buteau closing dailies below the 21 exponential as well. And look where it found that wick on Monday, by the way, finding it along the bottom of this support, of this bear flag support from way back when. Again, I haven't touched this chart, since I made it with you guys, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or whatever, or actually maybe even further back than that. But the big areas still matter. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. Big areas typically do matter in event-driven things, but the smaller ones do not. The lower time frame oscillators do not. And I think it has been long enough now that the lower time frame oscillators have had like a chance to kind of reset themselves, but do be careful. We got the daily stochastics crossing up. I like that. We got daily RSI flatlining, but that's neither bullish nor bearish, just kind of neutralish. 12 hour, same sort of thing. Just looks like consolidation. 12 hour actually looks like good consolidation right here. using the 21 as support, holding this horizontal right here. I like both those things. Next big resistance right around 221.5. Looks like as long as you're above there, or sorry, as long as you're below there, don't really have a breakout. But if you can break above there, don't really see much stopping you from this former high right over here at around 240-ish area. That's where things get a little bit more interesting. But overall, it does look like Butyrol. It's just another easy one to trade right now. You have a very obvious support. You have a very obvious resistance. That's all you have to do is just wait a little bit. Which is the hard part. To be fair, that's a fucking hard part. Anyways, I do want to check out the differences between this one and the one and BitMexico. BitMexico is suggesting that we actually do have that we probably will droop down over here. That's why I did take that short to kind of start this this stream. Daily on BitMexico. Daily on BitMexico is very interesting because you'll notice that the red dildo from last week had a significantly more volume than the pump up dildo from this week, from Monday this week is what I mean to say. So again, another just weird discrepancy between these two exchanges. And I would put more weight on MEX because again, remember we had a very unique situation with Tether on Monday, which completely really fucks around and screws around with all of the metrics, in my opinion. As Finex was like the main exchange where shit was going down or up, is what I mean to say. Well, Tether was going down and Bitcoin was going up. So again, let's go check on the MVT signal and kind of close this one out. MVT signal still above the critical area, so this does make me a little bit more bearish. And tells me that maybe I should be selling this right now. Again, anytime you kind of get to the critical zone, typically aligns with a move back down here where my cursor is, down to like the 50 zone. And you can see that we're still at one of the highest times we've ever been at in Bitcoin's almost 10-year history. So again, that's going to do it for this morning's video. To just kind of wrap it up in a few sound bites right here. Bitcoin has not changed the range at all, so we are at some major resistance right here at about 64.75, we'll call it, on GDAX, Coinbase Pro, whatever the fuck you call it. Coinbase Pleb is what I heard someone call it. Kind of funny. And I do think that it actually does look like you kind of want to droop down, maybe test this area again, 63.50-ish area. 4-hour stochastics are kind of losing momentum, and we do have a little bit of bearish divergence over here as well. But again, this is a very easy trade to take, and these are the trades that I love taking because I can short right here, and I know extremely quick with very little loss if I'm going to be wrong about $30 above. Overall, this one can easily go either way. But if we hadn't had the event of Monday, I would look at this and I'd say, oh, yep, we're going up. We have a local low and it's time to go up. But with the event of Monday, I have to really kind of step back and reassess that just like static interpretation of this chart. So right here, right now, I would actually take that trade, and I probably will take that trade after this this video, and again, I'll actually just buy the futures if it goes above here and just hedge that way, because I do believe if you do take out this area and you start closing some dildos above this area, very likely that you do play out some significant upside. Again, your daily is if I also looked at the daily, I would be a buyer on that. And to be even further clear, if you did go all the way back down here to 62.50, as long as 62.50 holds, I do remain mostly. Not mostly. No, I just don't want to get super short. I'd be wanting to close positions, especially right around 62.50. And if you did break 61.50, then yes, I'd want to be extremely short. But again, we're still kind of in a range right here. Very little has actually changed. So again, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this lovely Wednesday. I hope this video is finding you well, and I'll see you in a live stream near you soon. Take care.